Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Insta here. How are you all doing? I hope you're all doing great. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. You know, I have done a lot of rewrites. I've also done some fan fiction, all about usual, movies or TV shows. I'm not gonna dive into the ones I've already done. You can look them up right here on my channel. However, something that I haven't really tapped into for a long time is the gaming world. You know, the last year I have started to go back to my personal roots, and that's mainly becoming, the gamer I used to be back in my teens and everything. And I actually discovered some great classics. Games that I've always wanted to play but never really got a chance to, but I have done now. And I remember last Halloween there was this one game that got a remaster, and that game was Until Dawn. Now I expect that any one of you guys who just clicked on this video is gonna at least know about this game. Maybe you don't know the story, maybe you don't know the characters, maybe you don't really know what it's about, but it's a pretty notorious horror game. The gist of it, well, just to cap very quickly for those of you who don't know what it's about, you basically got this group of friends who all went to this cabin in the woods on top of a mountain. Very cozy, I know, and a tragedy happens. And basically a year later they all go back and they discover that something eerie and ominous and horrifying is out there to get them. And it's all somewhat connected to this tragedy that occurred a year earlier. Now I'm gonna tackle this a little bit differently. If you've seen my other rewrites and fanfictions, you know I really like to delve into the details. I want to describe every scene, I want to describe what the characters are thinking, I want to describe pretty much everything. Now I'm not gonna do this with this video. Why? Because first of all, it's a game that's already made. The story is out there. I'm not really gonna create new things. With the rewrites, I'm literally changing a whole story. With the fanfiction, I'm creating something out of thin air. It's all new, and I think it's important for every one of you listeners or viewers to really get to understand what I'm trying to do. With this game, with this mini-series, I guess you could call it fanfiction, whatever, I'm not gonna create anything new. I'm gonna add certain things, and I'll explain those things in detail. No worries. But like the main story beats, which is like 90 to 95% of everything that's gonna happen in my own mini-series of Until Dawn, that is the exact same stuff that's happening in the game. I will implore you, if you haven't played this game, or if you haven't watched a full walkthrough of it, or just don't know anything, you're still up in the mystery, up in the clouds, and you don't know what's going on, I really advise you to either play the game, or either to watch a walkthrough, or just to read the whole summary on the internet. There are tons of them, very helpful. I really implore you to do that, because I'm gonna go over things pretty quickly. I'm not gonna delve into the details as much as I usually do. So, spoiler warning for everyone out there. Two things. My mini-series of Until Dawn will have 7 episodes. Episode 1 is called 1 Year Ago. Episode 2, Memento Mori. Episode 3, Darkness. Episode 4, Malevolence. Episode 5, Prey. Episode 6, Vengeance. And then my series finale is going to be called Repentance. These titles are straight from the actual titles of the chapters of the game, so there we go. The characters, of course, Josh, Sam, Jessica, Emily, Mike, Ashley, Matt, Chris, Hannah, and Beth. Just to give a quick heads up, this is how the characters are going to start off. Josh, at the start of episode 1, is just gonna be this casual guy. He's gonna be a nerd, a little bit of an outsider, nothing too weird. He's just a casual guy. Sam is gonna be a steady, strong anchor figure. She's a good friend to all of her friends. She's steady, she's strong. She's not like this stupid girl boss or anything. She's an actual confident character. Jessica is gonna be a brat. Just as it is, she's gonna be very needy, she's gonna be pretty entitled, always wants to have things her way, just like in the game. Emily will start off as a very fun girlfriend. She'll be a girlfriend of someone, I'm not gonna tell you who yet. She'll be very fun, nothing too weird. Mike is gonna start off as a lousy douchebag. He's just gonna act very arrogant, also very selfish, nothing too special there. Ashley is gonna be steady, insecure, and sweet, and she's basically gonna be that throughout the entire series. Matt is gonna start off as a very loyal but also insecure boyfriend. He's gonna be loyal, he's gonna be insecure, he's a good guy, but he's clearly not at all as assertive as he should be. He will let other people use him a little bit too much. Chris is gonna be the comic relief at the start, just like that. Hannah is gonna be insecure, and Beth is gonna be supportive and loyal, mainly towards her sister, Hannah. It's all gonna start with our episode 1 year ago. Now the majority of this episode is gonna be completely new, because this is gonna be a big character introduction episode. It's gonna cover the prologue of the game, but it's just greatly expanded. Just imagine we get this whole opening sequence at the high school, like it's gonna be the final day of the semester or whatever, and we're getting to know all of our characters. We see Josh, who just likes to poke jokes, while his sisters, Beth and Hannah, just cringe about them. It's gonna be this fun dynamic. A very big focus point is gonna be Hannah. Hannah is basically gonna be like almost the main character of this first episode, because she's gonna get picked on by Jessica. Jessica is pretty much gonna be a bully this first episode. She's gonna be very unlikable. You're really not gonna like her. She's a bully towards Hannah and she doesn't care. Sam, however, is instantly gonna be on the good side, because Sam will intervene and protect Hannah from Jessica. As this whole confrontation is going on, Emily and Mike are gonna be watching from a distance, and they're gonna be gossiping, you know, again, just like this typical couple. We're gonna start off with Emily and Mike being a couple. That's very important. Mike is gonna be like this typical asshole, mainly commenting on how good Jessica looks, you know, her looks, her body, stuff like that. Emily's gonna be hurt about this. She's clearly starting off as a very sensitive and loyal girlfriend. She just wants to please Mike and wants Mike to love her. Mike does apologize, but it's clearly he's not really sincere about it. He's not likable. Emily's gonna be very fragile in this first episode. I'm telling you, it's all very clear on how different these characters are compared to when you actually start playing the game. The next character we're going to be introduced to is Matt. Matt and Mike are going to have a chit chat. Also just like, you know, Mike's going to talk about how hot these girls are, you know, that stupid kind of stuff. Matt is going to try to go along with it, but he clearly feels very uncomfortable. He wants to be more respectful towards women. He also shows a very sensitive and insecure side. Mike mainly jokes about this, but he even encourages Matt to be more assertive and everything, because, you know, otherwise Matt is never gonna get a girlfriend of his own, blah 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 blah. And it is hinted that Matt is having feelings for Emily, but he manages to hide it from Mike. Our final introduction is gonna be to Chris. Chris is gonna have this comedic moment where he's just, you know, gathering all of his courage as he heads out to Ashley. Chris wants to ask her out because it's soon found out that there's gonna be this big party that night somewhere. And Chris wants to ask Ashley out, but he just ends up completely messing it up. He's stumbling over his words, he makes a fool of himself, several people laugh about it, it's kind of embarrassing for him. Ashley isn't mean about it, she shows herself to be caring and sweet, but she does just walk away, you know. Chris feels like an idiot, but Sam, again, as the supportive character she is, she shows up and gives Chris this pep talk. It's like a genuine, good way of showing these characters like how they are, what they want, what their deal is, everything like that. Eventually, Chris is convinced by Sam that he's gonna try to make a move on Ashley at the party that night. Our next scene is gonna be Hannah in her room. You know, she's gonna try on some dresses, but she's feeling very insecure. She also has this big crush on Mike, even though she knows he's not available and he's kind of an asshole and everything, but she just wants it to give it a go. And Beth, her sister, enters, and they have this very sweet sister moment. Like, Beth, being a stronger person, is really gonna like give her all the support she needs. They're gonna have this little you know, try on haul almost. Like they're gonna try on different clothes, you're gonna be supporting everything. It's fun. It's like a genuinely good sister moment. They're good friends, they have great chemistry, it's all very fun. The scene does end with like Josh jump scaring them. He's just a nerd, he's just playing his video games, he's really not social at all, he's just gonna stay at home. The sisters are kind of annoyed, but it's again this comedic moment, you know, everything's fine. Sam is eventually gonna pick up both Beth and Hannah, and they're on their way to the party. Now, the party sequence is gonna be this typical American teenager movie scene, you know, where everything's like, you know, they're all playing drinking games, they're all having fun, they're getting drunk, they're dancing, they're making out, all of that stuff, you know, you've seen it a billion times in movies. And it's gonna be exactly that. Again, just watching all these characters, getting to know them. Sam is gonna have, yet again, a pep talk to Hannah, because Hannah is very awkward. She's not really feeling it. Actually, she's at the point of just wanting to go home. But Sam is giving another pep talk, like, you know, it's okay, it's okay. So she urges to just follow Sam and just try to have a good time. Jessica's there too, mainly to just be a prick. like when I'm saying this right now, it's really kind of funny how many of these main characters are just pricks in the beginning. But that's what's gonna make the arcs all the more meaningful. Just bear with me. Jessica's gonna gossip about Hannah and how pathetic she is to Mike. Mike doesn't protest, he's just listening. Emily again is just standing there, but Emily's clearly so jealous because Jessica is dressed in a far better outfit. It's also clear how Jessica is seriously flirting with Mike. Like, it's all over the place. Mike is completely oblivious, he's just not noticing it, or maybe he's just pretending not to notice, but Emily is clearly very bothered by this. Emily is honestly just getting angry. She just wants Jessica to back off, she wants Mike all for her own, because, you know, he's her boyfriend, but it's this whole typical drama thing. The night goes on, everyone gets a little bit drunk, until Beth eventually asks most of her classmates to join her in a separate room. Now Beth, her classmates are Mike, Jessica, Emily, Hannah, Matt, and Ashley. Seeing how Ashley is joining them, Chris, still trying to make a move on Ashley, is gonna join them too, just for the fun of it. So soon they're all in a separate room, and Beth comes up with the idea. It's their final year of high school, soon they're all gonna go on their separate ways, even though maybe they're not all the best of friends, but she wants to have this final big trip. So Beth suggests a weekend trip together. She has found this very cozy cabin in the woods high up in the mountains, and it's perfect. It takes some convincing for most of them, but eventually they all decide to do it. Jessica takes the most convincing. She's not adventurous at all. She's like, no, please, ew. It's gonna be cold up there. She just wants to go to a beach, not up high in the snowy mountains, but eventually she's convinced. So they're all like, you know what? Yeah, let's do this. Let's have the time of our lives. Even Hannah seems enthusiastic, which is this kind of, you know, heartwarming moment. Hannah is enthusiastic about something. That's great. So the party is pretty much over when Hannah bumps into Sam. Hannah tells Sam about their plans. Sam, who wasn't at the gathering just a second ago, is a bit hesitant, but Hannah is literally begging Sam to come. Because Sam is this huge supportive figure for Hannah. So she's like, please join us. I'm not gonna be completely comfortable. Even though her sister is gonna be there, she really wants her best friend to come. It's a very comfortable, very sweet, very cute, wholesome friendship moment between the two. And Sam eventually agrees to also join them. Now we cut to several weeks later, and we see our characters all arriving at the foot of the mountains. Everyone is there, even Josh, much to Jessica and Mike's dismay, because he just doesn't fit in with the group at all, you know? I mean, you got Hannah, who's just a little bit awkward, but at least she's trying. Josh is like deliberately separating himself from the group. He's got his headphones on, he's got his games, he's got his books, whatever, he's just there. He's just there clearly because he was convinced by Beth, probably his sister. But he's clearly like the odd one out. Now during their hike towards the cabin, we get some slightly creepy vibes. You know, this is where the horror tone is very slowly setting in. We get some creepy vibes from the forest, but nothing too nasty. It's just enough to set the stage for future things to come. Just imagine this eerie forest, the winds blowing through the leaves, snow being everywhere. It's quiet. It's quiet. And the only thing we hear is just wind. That's it. But nothing too creepy. All of our characters are just talking and having a fun time, you know. Jessica keeps adding bratty and very clingy towards Mark, which keeps upsetting Emily. Chris tries to have a fun chat with Ashley, but it's again comically awkward. Matt is just there as Mike's friend and talks with Beth while Hannah and Sam stay in the back together, also just chatting. Soon they all arrive at the cabin, make themselves comfortable, they set up everything to have a fun night of games, music and a lot of drinking. The thing is, while preparing for this night, Jessica again teases Mike, which clearly upsets Emily now. Emily storms out, leaving them, confusing Mike because he just keeps on being oblivious. Because, you know, apparently he has no idea of Jessica's real intentions, while it's obvious to us, the viewers, that Jessica's just all over Mike. So that's it. Josh is just reading comics in his room. Beth begs him to fit in, but he generally just doesn't feel it. This frustrates Beth as she leaves the room. At sunset, Sam and Hannah are getting dressed for their fun night, just two of them. And of course they have this typical gossiping talk, in which Hannah reveals to Sam how she secretly has a crush on Mike. Sam isn't surprised because, you know, Mike is this very good looking guy. However, Hannah also expresses her insecurities now. But Sam urges her not to feel like that, you know. Hannah is a gorgeous woman, who many guys would be lucky to have her. This whole scene, again, just shows how Sam is truly a great friend to have. However, unaware to them, Jessica was listening the whole time. Jessica goes to the others, tells them how Hannah has a crush for Mike. Mike is unfazed, since basically every girl in the school has a crush on him, but this does give Jessica an idea to play a little prank. Ashley takes some convincing, since it's pretty mean, but Mike, Chris, Matt and Emily believe it could be a fun laugh. So they all discuss how they can prank Hannah that night. Cut to Hannah in her room. She suddenly notices a letter sliding under her door. It's supposedly a letter from Mike in which he expresses his secret love for her. This is where we follow the exact events from the game, where Hannah is gobsmacked, dresses herself even fancier as she feels like she's the happiest girl in the world, all the while the others, apart from Sam, Beth and Josh, get ready in a room with cameras. Mike sits in the middle, waiting for Hannah, while the others hide and get ready for a good laugh. In a truly dreaded build-up, because you just know this is gonna be so awkward, so heartbreaking for Hannah, she walks to the room, enters, takes a deep breath, Mike waiting there for her. It's all too good to be true, until the others can't contain their laughter and expose Hannah for being a fool. They all come out of under the bed, behind the couch, out of the closet, whatever, with their cameras, pointing and laughing at this girl. It's very, very heartbreaking. Hannah can't believe what's happening. She starts to cry. Sam storms in, confronts the others. She's furious. Hannah, in tears, runs away out of the cabin into the woods. Sam, of course, quickly tells Beth of what just happened, leading Beth to also having a serious rant on the others. They should be ashamed, like what the hell's wrong with you? She's her little sister, back the fuck off. Afterwards, Beth, just very concerned, also heads outside trying to find Hannah. We're following everything from the game now. Beth is running through the midnight wilderness in search for her sister while getting spooked by animals all around her. We get some very good jump scares now. This is where the creep factor suddenly gets doubled and tripled every passing minute. You feel the dread. There's something out there in the woods. It's not just the animals. Soon Beth finds herself scared for her life, but she's still destined to find her sister. When she stumbles upon the lonesome cabin, she's suddenly attacked by a masked figure with a flamethrower, causing all hell to break loose for the girl. She's running for her life. This crazy maniac with a flamethrower is right behind her. She soon finds Hannah, and they both run as fast as they can towards the cabin, but it's very clear how something horrifying is on their heels. Just like in the game, We end with them both on the edge of a cliff as this supposed thing is approaching them. We don't see what it is. We assume it's this flamethrower guy, but we don't know what's actually chasing them, causing for the suspense. They're fearing for their lives. Hannah accidentally stumbles off the cliff, dragging Beth with her, but the two girls are hanging there for their lives. This flamethrower guy is standing above them, and this is where the tension is most severe. As the two sisters are crying for help, Beth can't hang on anymore and loses her grip. Hannah and Beth both fall off the cliffs to their deaths, which is shown in a very graphic and disturbing way as their bodies fall on the rocks below. Our final shot is their bodies laying there while the howling snowy winds grow louder and louder. Bam! That's where we end our first episode. This whole episode was this cheesy, cliched, typical American teen rom-com-esque scenario, but the final 10 minutes just turn into this horrific horror film with a very gruesome death of Beth and Hannah, especially Hannah, which was basically almost being built up as our main character throughout this entire episode. There we go, the two sisters are dead. Shocking end to our first episode. Now I'm gonna shift into higher gears because of course the majority of the first episode was just myself expanding. Now we're gonna go into the very basic stuff. Episode 2, Memento Mori, covers basically chapter 1 and 2 of the original game. It's mainly character driven. This is gonna be the least scary episode. It's all gonna be about characters. It takes place 1 year after the first episode. All of our characters arrive back at the cabin after we see Josh's video message to everyone, asking to reunite at the cabin after the events of last year to honor his dead sister's memory. We get this full video message just like the game, and we start with Sam and Chris meeting together at the foot of the mountain, and they head up to the top while having a fun chat. Both of them haven't really changed. You know, Sam is still fun but very strong. Chris is still clearly the comic relief. They chat about how their lives have been, also about what happened the year earlier. It's just a catching up. Mike arrives with Jessica, showing how they have become a couple now. So Mike and Jessica are together. Also, both of them haven't really changed. I mean, they have fun, they flirt, they play around the whole time, but it's clear how they're still just their bratty selves. Lastly, Matt and Emily arrive, who are now shown to have become a couple too. Matt is still very insecure and hardly really stands up to himself, while Emily's previous quiet and sensitive character has shifted into this assertive and even arrogant side. Emily is the first one of our characters to really show evolution. She's completely changed. She's not sensitive or fragile anymore. She's very assertive. She's even, dare I say, downright unpleasant towards Matt. It's clear how this is all just a coping mechanism after being dumped by Mike under the influence of Jessica. Nevertheless, Emily doesn't treat Matt right. She uses him more as a tool than an actual boyfriend, which is also shown very clearly to us. They all meet up at the cabin where Josh is awaiting them, followed by Chris having to enter the cabin to turn on the power, giving us a fun creepy scene, just like in the game. Everyone gets together in the cabin, but not before conflict between Emily and Jessica arises after some nasty insults are thrown around. Mike steps in to defuse the situation. He's like, calm down, you know, it's not making a big deal out of it. It's like, come on girls, calm down. While Matt, who is clearly frustrated, just stands by and watches. Again, Matt doesn't do anything. He's just there, he just watches. This ends with the decision of Mike and Jessica not spending the night here with them, They don't want any drama, so instead they're gonna be heading up to the other lodge further in the mountain, which is like, the love cabin. You all know what it is. Mike and Emily do get a moment together, where Emily tries to flirt with him, which Mike again doesn't mind. Mike clearly has no standards. He's just like, okay, yeah, just do what you want. And Emily shows herself not to be loyal to Matt, which also doesn't really come as a shock since Emily is being kind of a dick towards him. Most of the remaining episode is just character work. Chris pranks Sam and Josh in the basement. Josh suggests to try out the Ouija board, trying to summon his sister's ghost. Matt keeps on being a tool for Emily as she clearly just wants Mike back. We also have one very cute scene where Chris tries to talk to Ashley. Far less awkward this time around. Ashley doesn't mind it that they have a nice talk together. It's a good progress compared to previous episode where every encounter between them was just awkward. Now they finally have a cute scene together. It's fun. The scare factor again isn't high this episode. It's the least scary one. It's mostly a dark ambience, the mountain forest at night. There are gonna be some scary clues here and there, hinting at the future psycho figure to come, but it's all gonna be hints, nothing too explicit. The episode ends with Josh, Chris, and Ashley doing the Ouija board and seemingly making contact with Josh's sisters, while we also see Mike and Jessica heading towards their cabin in the woods. All the while we can hear eerie sounds coming from the dark woods, hinting at something monstrous being there, just waiting its time to attack. That's it. End of the episode. It's a calm one, just character work. Episode 3, Darkness, is really where things start to get going. It's gonna cover chapter 3 and partly 4 of the original game. It's gonna be partly character driven, with also some very good scares and tension. The plot is really gonna be propelled. At the beginning of the episode, Mike and Jessica depart on their way to the cabin, but not after some very nasty remarks between Jessica and Emily. Matt again feels awkward and just stands by. Emily keeps using him as a tool. There's no love, it's just fake. It's obvious this isn't a real actual romantic relationship. Josh, Chris, and Ashley are still shaken by what happened with the Ouija board and tell this to Sam, Matt, and Emily. Emily gets very scared by this, and also she's already fed up with everything and she just wants to leave. Like, this was a mistake. She didn't even want to come here in the first place. Apparently Matt really wanted to come, but she's like, no, I don't want to be here. She's, acting like a brat. It leads to an argument between her and pretty much everyone else besides Matt. They all think she's overreacting and being a complete asshole, but she claims she finally has learned to stand up for herself and not let anyone treat her like shit anymore. So it eventually ends with her grabbing her stuff and just basically forcing Matt to go with her. Despite some of them pleading, Chris and Josh mostly pleading for Matt to at least stay, but Matt just is forced by Emily to join her as they just leave. They leave. They're gone. Matt does show some discomfort. He does try to talk Emily out of it, but she just shuts him down again. The rest of the episode is mainly character driven after this. Matt follows Emily through the creepy dark forest to the foot of the mountain, as she keeps on bickering about the others. Jessica and Mike are on their way to their own cabin while flirting, having sexual talk with each other. At the main lodge, Sam decides to take her bath, while the others keep discovering more strange notes about the well-known psycho figure from the original game. Old letters are found, pictures, warnings, even threats. The tension and this mystery around, the psycho figure is really getting built up in this episode. You really get the sense of, oh my god, they're not alone. Someone's watching them. Like, what is going on? This is very creepy. This very eerily yet fun mystery is really being built up here. Matt and Emily will find some very disturbing signs. They're going to find the pig's carcasses on their way, again hinting at the works of this psycho figure. After this, we cut to Mike and Jessica. They arrive at their cabin as they get nice and warm. They're ready for some lovemaking, of course. The tension, which has been building up throughout the whole episode almost, reaches a peak, however, as we get a sense that something is stalking their cabin. It's here how something bumps on the door repeatedly, leading to Jessica thinking that it's the others who are pranking her. Just like in the game, she heads out to taunt them, but soon gets grabbed to the door by something hideous, something monstrous. A very intense moment occurs as Mike tries to save her, but is unable to. Jessica is dragged away into the woods as a terrified Mike grabs a shotgun from the cabin and heads out after her. At the main lodge, Chris and Ashley are both studying all their findings as they keep on getting closer together. That's when we have our scene where they, alongside Josh, head to the basement, where they uncover even more mysteries and even stumble upon a ghost roaming around. The tension here also reaches a peak when they lose Josh and Emily physically gets attacked by the reveal of her psycho figure. A little struggle ensues between Chris and the attacker, but he soon also gets overpowered. Both Ashley and Chris are knocked out. The psycho is seen grabbing both of their bodies and taking them away. Our final scene is Mike rushing to the woods, trying to save Jessica, which leads him into a deep mine inside the mountain. In our most disturbing scene yet, we end up hearing Jessica's agonizing screams as we hear her getting ripped apart by something. We don't see it happening, but we hear everything. Mike, freaking out, rushes as fast as he can, but is eventually too late as he finds Jessica's mutilated body at the bottom of an elevator shaft. At this scene, the episode ends. This episode really shifts the whole story into a higher gear. We get some very good tension and mystery, some really good scares, but it's really the final scene with this incredibly shockingly gory character death of Jessica at the end. Is it a big loss? Not really. Jessica has been an annoying brat the entire way, but it's a very gruesome death of her. Mike fails to save her, so now he's out for revenge. Enter episode 4, Malevolence. This covers the remainder of chapter 4 and 5 of the original game. This episode again has a pretty good balance between character and plot driven scenes, as our mystery around the psycho figure gets even bigger. Meanwhile, we follow Mike on a revenge hunt after the death of his girlfriend Jessica from the last episode. That's also where our episode begins. Mike, enraged and terrified, runs through the halls of the mine as he pursues some kind of creature that has killed Jessica. It's then that he eventually stumbles upon the sanatorium, where we get a whole sequence in which he enters the building and spots a mysterious man with several wolves accompanying him. The sequence is filled with eerie ambience and jump scares as we follow Mike slowly turning from this lousy asshole into an actual brave heroic figure. This is gonna be our second character arc. Mike started off as this arrogant douchebag. He didn't care about anything, he was a player, he didn't care if he was hurting other girls' feelings, but now, after losing his girlfriend, this brave side of him does come out. He's actually doing this stuff. He has his shotgun and he actually is going out there for revenge, making him almost like a kind of action hero. Nothing too insane, nothing too extreme, but still, it's pretty cool. It's like this kind of makes you want him to survive. So he wanders around the sanatorium, he finds clues about the history of this place. Most of all, he's trying to find a way back to the lodge so he can warn the others about a killer being on the loose here. All of this straight out of the game. Matt and Emily are still on their way to the foot of the mountain as they end up getting lost, and they pretty much have nowhere to go. Emily keeps on bickering, but we slowly see Matt getting fed up with it. Matt is really standing up to himself now. This is the episode where Matt also slowly starts his own character arc of changing from this tool to a more assertive person. He's like, Emily, stop treating me like shit, you know? Just it's that. So when he tries to stand up for himself, Emily keeps on shutting him down, but Matt is just reaching his breaking point more and more. They end up also being chased by an unknown creature. They soon head inside a random cabin where they take shelter and decide to call for help. They know there's a radio tower not too far away from their location, so they soon decide to go there. Elsewhere, Chris wakes up in the cabin as he finds Ashley and Josh both being tied up to this huge saw-like device, straight from the infamous choosing scene from the game. In a very saw-like scene, the Psycho speaks to Chris via speakers as he's forced to choose one of them to live while he must release a chainsaw device on the other. In a harrowing scene, with both Ashley and Josh begging for their lives, Chris ends up choosing for Josh to die, saving Ashley. In our most gory and pretty much disturbing scene yet, we see how the chainsaw device saws Josh's body in half. And yes, we see this happening. It's gonna be gory as hell and very hard to watch. While Ashley is of course later on rescued from her straps by Chris. Both cry in each other's arms and they just run out of the barn as we see Josh's sewn in half body being left behind. At the main lodge, Sam is taking her bath, not suspecting anything. She doesn't know what's going on. The Psycho, however, is right there inside with her, as we enter our ending scene with her getting out of the bath in search for her friends, finding they've all gone. As she wanders around, she eventually also stumbles upon the Psycho, as a chase scene ensues throughout the lodge and into the basement. It takes a while as Sam puts on a good chase, but she ends up being taken by surprise and gets drugged by the Psycho, making her fall unconscious. That's where our episode ends. This episode has the perfect balance. It has gore, scary ambience of the forest and of the sanatorium, jump scares all around, and some also good character development. Mike is slowly transitioning into our hero, while Matt is also slowly growing and growing more assertive and more, against Emily's antics. Chris and Ashley are really growing closer as well as a cute pair, while the threat of the Psycho is now very real, and more than ever with our second character death of Josh. Well, of course, supposed character death, if you know the twist that's coming. Moving on to episode 5, Prey. This covers chapter 6 of the original game. This episode again has a good balance between character and plot-driven scenes as our mystery around the Psycho figure reaches a breaking point. This episode will really only focus on two select groups, those being Matt and Emily, and Chris and Ashley. Both will show huge evolutions by the end of this episode. Matt and Emily are still on their way to the radio tower in order to find help, all the while being chased by these mysterious beasts in the woods. All their scenes will contain Emily panicking and continuing to just being a brat, while Matt will become more and more assertive to the point of even becoming aggressive towards her when they finally do reach the tower. Aggressive verbally, not physically. They will end up having this massive argument where Emily accidentally slips out that she's still in love with Mike after all this time. This severely upsets Matt, as he completely turns silent against her, clearly fueling this immense rage inside him. To be honest, it's kind of disheartening. Emily has been taunted by Jessica for, God knows how long, and now that she's finally standing up for herself, she is turning all the way around, and she's actually becoming just like Jessica. It's kind of sad, if you really think about it. That being said, Matt is really also getting his inner rage fueled. Intertwined with the scenes of Matt and Emily, we have the scenes with Chris and Ashley after the horrifying death of Josh in the previous episodes. They'll return to the lodge where they continue their uncovering of the Psycho mystery, finding clues in the basement and even a hidden passageway underneath the whole complex. All the while, Ashley shows immense remorse and fear, and Chris shows himself to really care and comfort her. Chris is our next character to really show development. At this point, Chris is more than just a comic relief. He's a genuine good soul, and this episode proves that. Ashley shows herself to truly feel something for him, and there are some really nice and comforting scenes between them. Their scenes, however, will reach an abrupt cliffhanger once they are confronted by the Psycho again. A short fight scene between him and Chris breaks out as he tries to protect Ashley, but sadly enough, he fails. Both will get knocked out and get dragged away by the murder figure again. After this, Matt and Emily will reach the radio tower while being chased by these unknown beasts. Inside the tower, they manage to make contact and call for help, but they'll have to wait until dawn for someone to come up to the mountain by helicopter. The tension reaches a breaking point when these hidden monsters even start to destroy the tower with Emily and Matt still inside, causing it to collapse into the mines below. Emily shows herself to be even a more hateful character now, since she keeps on yelling for Matt to save her while he is just desperately trying to stay alive himself. It all culminates in this extremely tense scene where Emily's holding on for her life and Matt has the power to save her, but chooses not to. Matt's arc as the weak and fragile tool to this assertive guy, now to this very dark self, is really showing. He will simply ignore Emily while the tower continues to collapse and dragging Emily down with it. Matt just walks away with minor injuries. It's a shocking scene. Matt just let Emily die. However, the final scene will be the famous one where Ashley and Chris are tied up in a room with another saw-like machine where they have to shoot one of them in order to save themselves before they get sawed to death them both. In a horrifying emotional moment, Chris decides to shoot himself in order to save Ashley, but not before uttering his love for her. Ashley, crying, will say she loves him too, and on that note, Chris fires the gun, killing himself. That's where the episode ends. This episode is all about our final character arcs. Matt becoming a dark version of himself, Emily reaching the peak of her selfishness, and Chris and Ashley developing their romance. There's no real gore here, neither a lot of jump scares. It's really all about the personal conflicts and thrills. Reaching our penultimate episode, episode 6, Vengeance. This covers chapters 7 and 8 of the original game. This episode is a lot more plot focused. This episode is mainly all about the plot twists and the reveals, because we start off with the ending scene of the previous one where Chris shoots himself to save Ashley. But we continue as we are revealed to the truth. Chris didn't die. The gun has blanks. And the Psycho is revealed to be Josh all along, having filmed everything. It's the big plot twist where we also get this little montage of Josh setting up all the clues, the mysteries, the scares the friends had to endure throughout the episodes. He was behind all of it. He has a laugh, but of course everyone else is pissed. Sam wakes up tied to a chair but is saved by Mike after he escaped the sanatorium. They also end up with Josh, Chris, and Ashley. A fight breaks out as Josh is confronted by the death of Jessica, to which he swears he has nothing to do with. This sets up the mystery of something else and far worse being there as well. Josh, showing himself to be mentally unstable, is taken to a shed by Chris and Mike and tied up there as Chris even punches the guy down, showing himself to have turned to the strong alpha protective man towards Ashley instead of the casual jokester he was from the beginning. We cut to Matt roaming through the mines as he tries to find a service. That's also where we see Emily survive the fall and also is now roaming the mines. We get this immense thrill scene where the mysterious beasts are finally revealed as the Wendigos. These horrifying creatures that feast on the flesh of man. The mysterious flamethrower guy is also shown to be a good guy now all along as he saves Emily from an attack, to which he has a little cool fight scene with several of them. All of this straight from the game. Emily has an intense chase through the mines as she rushes to reach the surface, while Wendigo is right on her heels. She runs for her life, she screams out loud that she's sorry for everything. Now, only now, she's showing genuine remorse for having been such a terrible person. But as she repents, she's taken off guard by a second Wendigo and is killed either way. Matt does escape the mines as he runs into the cold woods and just sits there, letting it sink in that he killed Emily in his eyes. And now he will have to live with that forever. He has become a stronger person, but at what cost? At the lodge, Mike is still recovering from Jessica's death. After some small character moments and Chris and Ashley finally having their first kiss, the stranger, aka the flamethrower guy, enters the lodge and gives this huge exposition dump on the Wendigos and who they really are. Shocked, Chris and the stranger head to the cabin where Josh was tied up, only to find him missing, after which a fight with several Wendigos breaks out. Chris manages to escape as the stranger saves him with his flamethrower. Unlike in the game where the stranger gets killed instantly, here we will have an extended fight scene where the man actually puts up a great fight, but is simply overwhelmed in the end, blowing himself up inside a barn, killing several Wendigos as well. It's far more satisfying as an end for him. Chris heads back to the lodge where everyone recovers and tries to hold out until dawn, but they also feel like they can't leave Josh behind. So soon Mike leaves to find Josh alone. He shows a lot of maturity now. Mike claims he'll go alone as he can't lose anyone else, showing he did view all of them as his friends all along. Sam, however, does join him, also showing how his friends care about him. It's this nice friendship moment. Ashley and Chris are told to stay put in the basement, which they do. Our penultimate episode ends right here, right before Sam and Mike head out to find their friend. Episode 7, Repentance, our finale, covers chapter 9 and 10 of the original game. Our finale again has a good character and plot balance. This episode is mainly fulfilling all remaining character arcs and also giving us a nail-biting finale. We start off with a lonely Josh in the middle of a cave where he ends up in the game. We have this whole scene where we get inside his head to really see how mentally unstable he is. He's truly haunted by what happened to his sisters as he keeps seeing them as zombies before him. It's very eerie and we finally see how truly tormented he is. The first half of the finale is all about Sam and Mike searching for him. They end up venturing through the sanatorium, very similarly to the actual part of the game where Mike does it by himself. We got some very nice final character moments as Mike truly regrets everything he did a year ago. He opens up about this to Sam. He really regrets everything, he just didn't have the guts to admit it. Sam acts like her usual strong and supporting self. She gives a very strong pep talk to him, giving them both the courage to avenge their friends. This will eventually lead to a very intense chase as the sanatorium is overrun by Wendigos. Mike and Sam constantly fend them off while desperately trying to escape. It will end with Mike blowing up the whole building, killing many of the creatures. And this leads to both Mike and Sam heading into the mines. In the mines they will encounter Josh and manage to make him snap out of his nightmares. A very emotional moment follows where the three actually reconcile as Josh fully admits to his own sense of guilt, but Mike, having truly matured himself, tells Josh he did nothing wrong a year ago. They all did. He didn't. He will make things right for what mistakes he did now to just come with them. Josh seemingly turns back to his normal self, and the three venture out of the mines. However, this will sadly lead to yet another chase scene, where Josh will get surprise attacked by a Wendigo and is killed.
No, you're not!
Sam and Mike both manage to escape the mines and head to the lodge. Inside the lodge's basement, Chris and Ashley comfort each other and again confess their love, also deeply regretting the mistakes they made a year earlier. And now our final big scare sequence starts, where the Wendigos enter the lodge just mere minutes before dawn. Chris and Ashley desperately try to barricade themselves inside the basement. Meanwhile, Mike and Sam manage to enter the lodge from the side, while very sneakily moving through the hallways and staircases. As they are in the main room, they are completely surrounded by the monsters. Mike moves to one of the lights and snaps it in an attempt to blow the whole building up, seemingly having made peace to sacrifice himself for his friends. Chris and Ashley safely manage to make it outside, while Sam is still cornered somewhere. However, in one final brutal twist, Mike is made up to be the final sacrifice to save the rest, but that's when another Wendigo suddenly comes out of nowhere and surprises Sam, causing her to make a sound. The Wendigos all jump on Sam and kill her in one final shocker of pure gore. Mike freaks out, making the Wendigos come at him too, as he runs away, flips the light switch, and causing the whole building to blow up, killing all the Wendigos, but Mike survives. The sun rises on the horizon, and a rescuing helicopter arrives to save the survivors. The final scene is much like the credits of the game, where Ashley, Chris, Mike, and Matt are interviewed, all showing their outcome. Ashley and Chris have matured and look forward to a good future together. Mike, scarred and hardened, but has also matured at a great cost. But lastly, we see Matt, traumatized and has an empty look, knowing he'll have to live with his supposed murder of Emily for the rest of his life. He has also grown, but at a terrible cost. That's it, guys. That's where I'm gonna end this series. I know it's a little bit different, it's kind of fast-paced, not too much detail, but again, you have to play the game or know the story to really, be able to follow all of this. I hope you enjoy. It was pretty fun to just come up with a formula to just pour this whole story into a very effective and cool miniseries. The jump scares and everything are very fun. I'm telling you, it's nothing too deep, nothing too revolutionary, nothing too groundbreaking. However, I do think some of the character arcs are pretty interesting. Let's call it like that. I hope you guys enjoy. What would you change? I mean, the whole gist of this game is that you can make your own choices, decide your own character fates. So, if you've played the game, let me know. How would you change things? Who would you kill? Who would you have survive? Let me know, guys. Stay tuned for some new projects. See you soon.